So today we are here in North Vancouver, and I am looking so forward to being able to introduce my good friend, John Horgan. John has been looking out for our families and communities through this pandemic. He understands what people are going through right now. He knows that people are worried about their loved ones and their livelihoods, and he has a plan to get people through the pandemic and build an economic recovery that includes everyone. The choice in this election could not be clearer. Andrew Wilkinson and the BC Liberals would help those at the top. They support billions of dollars in tax giveaways for the wealthy and big corporations, and they would pay for it with cuts to services like healthcare that people desperately rely on. John understands this. He understands that we cannot afford to take that risk right now, and he will build on the progress that we have made to improve care and keep people healthy. He will keep BC moving forward for all of us, not just those at the top. And with that, I'd like to invite my good friend John Horgan to the podium for a few words. Probably a lot of words.
Thank you, Bowinn. It's great to be here on the traditional territory of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. I'm very pleased to be joined here by Bowinn Ma, the first NDP MLA on the North Shore in 25 years. Bowinn has worked tirelessly over the past 3 years to make sure that the needs of those on the North Shore are being met by our government, and I'm proud to say we're not standing too far away from one of those crowning achievements. But before I get to today's announcement, I just want to remind people of why we're here. Yesterday, I asked the Lieutenant Governor to dissolve the Legislative Assembly, and an election has been called for October 24th here in British Columbia. I want to reiterate how difficult that decision was for me. I struggled with it for a long period of time, wanting to make sure that we were doing the right thing. And I wanted to just say again, in my heart, I know that now is the time to put the partisan wrangling out front. Let's get it over with, and let's have a government that can focus on the challenges of COVID-19, not just for 12 months, but for the next 4 years. The pandemic will be with us for at least the next year. Dr. Henry's been fairly clear on that. Evidence internationally demonstrates that although we've had good progress in British Columbia, keeping people safe, keeping our economy going to the best of our ability, the challenges remain. And those challenges will not disappear just because we want them to. It will be as a result of the hard work of British Columbians, following public health guidelines, and being conscious that their decisions, their individual decisions, don't just impact their families, but they impact other families as well. So the question before us as we go into this election is, where do British Columbians want to go, and who do they want to lead them? I'm going to make the argument, and I'm hopeful that you'll be patient with this. I'm going to make the argument that we need to continue to have people like Bowinn Ma and others fighting for regular folks in communities right across British Columbia, in the north, in the interior, on the island, and here in the lower mainland. We need to keep fighting the pandemic, and we need to make sure that we're focusing on an economic recovery that works for everyone, not just those at the top. The choice in this election is clear, in my opinion. Bowinn touched upon this. There's the approach of the BC Liberals and Andrew Wilkinson, which we've seen over the previous 16 years of government, that focused on the wealthy and the well-connected, focused on reducing services for people and making us pay more in the process. BC Liberals increased MSP premiums by 100% when they were in power. We eliminated MSP premiums completely. BC Liberals cut services to people. We've improved services to people, whether it be more access to childcare, more access to healthcare, more space in our schools, more teachers in our schools, focusing on the things that matter to British Columbians. So right now, we need to focus particularly on healthcare. And I'm here today to announce that although we've already put in place 21 urgent and primary care centres across British Columbia, one of them here in the North Shore, just around the corner, we are going to be opening in the next year, by the end of 2021, 10 more urgent primary care centres to make sure that people can get the health care services they need in a timely manner. That means connecting patients to doctors, nurse practitioners, registered nurses, physiotherapists, and all the range of health care providers that are needed to keep people well, not just during a pandemic, but all the time. I believe that the work of Bowinn Ma and others across BC to make sure that we can embed urgent primary care centres in the philosophy of British Columbians as they seek health care has paid significant dividends during the pandemic. The biggest challenge we have is clogged emergency rooms. Urgent primary care centers allow people to stay away from our acute care system and get the health care they need in a timely way in their community. I know it's been a huge change in my community of Langford, and I know Bowinn can speak very well to the changes in the people's health here in the North Shore as a result of our investments. But it's not just urgent primary care. We're also focusing on new acute care facilities right across British Columbia, in Surrey, in Vancouver, in Fort St. James, in Dawson Creek, and other communities across BC. We've put in place a $1.6 billion pandemic response for our economic well-being. We've hired 600 new contact tracers to make sure that we can contain COVID-19. We're hiring 7,000 new healthcare workers to work in our long-term care facilities to keep our seniors safe, and that is just the beginning. Over the next 31 days, we'll be talking about a range of issues that we're going to be putting on the table to discuss with British Columbians head on. How do we come out of this pandemic stronger than we went into it? Not just with respect to public health, but with respect to our economic well-being as well. Before the pandemic, British Columbia led the country at the lowest unemployment rate, the highest credit rating, the lowest debt to GDP ratio of any province in the land. We want to get back to that place, but we want to do it together. The Liberals want to put the wealthy and the well-connected at the top of their priority list. Bowinn Ma and I are going to be working with New Democrats across BC to make sure British Columbians are at the center of our activity, not a second thought, not an afterthought, but the center of everything that we do.